Hi and welcome to the second in the little mini series on how to deal with cravings and addictive behaviours. So in order to create that neurological loop in the first instance, you had to associate pleasure with it. And with any neurological pathway, if you want to change it, you've got to have a stronger emotion to change it than you use to embed it in the first place. Otherwise your brain's going to go, well, yeah, that's an option, but actually this option is better, it's more rewarding, and it works every time. The other thing to understand about your programming is that your brain does love a bit of cut and paste. So if your addictive cravings are, let's say, for a variety of sweet things, it might be that you just started off with a craving for sugar, and then, or let's say sugar in tea, and then your brain went, oh, well, if we like sweet in tea, I wonder if we'll like sweet in biscuits, and then I wonder if we'll like sweets, and it starts to cut and paste so that it can shortcut and give you a variety within that one choice, i.e. something sweet, of things to do that will actually break your pattern. So it's really important to use the emotional elements, even if you're just doing a straightforward TFT exercise like I showed you in the first video, to always finish with that visualization and imagined how it is that I haven't got this and what does it feel like. And actually it feels pretty fabulous to be able to say no. In fact, I don't have to make myself say no, I just stop saying yes. So when you say yes to a craving or something that you know will harm you in the longer term, really think about what you're saying yes to. What are you saying yes to? So if you just take a moment now and think about, and ideally write down, the 3 worst things about your physicality, and it might be to do with how you think you look, or it might be that you've got no energy, or that you're having problems balancing blood sugar and you're all over the place, something that you know is a result of bad food choices. So just take a second, pause the video if you need to, and write down, what do you really hate? If I had a magic wand and I could go bing, magic, you haven't got that anymore. What would you not have? Would it be an emotional sense of something? Would it be physically, you don't get headaches or you sleep better, or what would it be? Because when you associate the outcome of these food choices with those things, that can be a real reality check for your unconscious mind, which, by the way, won't join the dots by itself. You have to get involved. It's an interactive process. So if you say yes to the Snickers bar every time you walk past the vending machine, or yes to a bite of cheese every time you open the fridge, or yes to not just one biscuit but multiple biscuits, if you say yes to the things that you know are causing you harm, in that moment, what are you saying yes to? You're saying yes to those things that you just told me, and told yourself, more importantly, because the person that's listening to this communication that is taking the most notice is you. So that's what you're saying yes to. So how's that working out for you? I'm guessing not so well. That's why you're here, because you want to change. So TFT, visualization, all of these cognitive based techniques plus guided meditations will really help you to reset those cravings and those habits. So I showed you a few TFT sequences in the first video. The video that I'm going to show today is about how to use something we call temporal tapping. Now, temporal tapping it's where we're going to literally tap along the temporal side of our lobes. These are called the temporal lobes at the side of your brain. And your left brain is, I'm oversimplifying, but your language centers are essentially in your left brain. But you've heard me say many times, your left brain and right brain have different characteristics. And it's very important to understand that from a linguistic point of view. So when I trained as a hypnotherapist, we were always taught you must never state anything in the negative. So never say what you don't want. If I say to you now, don't think about blue bananas, you immediately have to think about blue bananas. But actually, when you're looking at changing a craving or a habit or a behavior, it is important to acknowledge what you don't want, as long as you balance it with whatever you do want. So I want you to take a moment and pause the video if you need to do this, to think about something really specific. So it might be, I no longer crave crisps. I no longer crave, doesn't matter, it can be anything from smoking to gambling to cigarettes, doesn't even have to be food. But think about something, and you do one thing at a time. So, I mean, you can do sugary foods altogether, really sweet foods, but don't do sweet foods and crisps and something else. Do them one at a time and really do it properly. So I'm going to use the phrase sugary foods, but feel free to change that. So if your thing is cheese or fizzy pop or whatever it is, then you go for that. So your first statement, we're going to be talking to the left side of your brain specifically, and it's going to start with, I no longer crave sugary foods. Okay, that's going to be my negative statement. I no longer crave sugary foods. So that's talking to the left brain and really identifying what we don't want. That's what we're going to move away from. That's what we would call an away from goal in coaching. But what are we going towards? Because you can't hit a target you're not aiming at. So what do you want to feel instead of that craving? So normally, and you can change this to personalize it, but normally craving is a loss of control or a loss of sense of control. So it might be that what you want instead is to feel in control. So that's what I'm going to go with, but feel free to change the words. Now, in your right brain, the time is always now. So we can't make it as if it's going to happen in the future. So we're not going to say, I will. We're going to think about that situation when we have the craving, and we're going to say, I am in control. Now, when you visualize the situation, you want to really get a little mind movie of when is it. So if your trigger is when you see a vending machine, or when you see the biscuit tin at home, or when you open the fridge, or just when you're watching TV and you're bored. So really get in your head a clear idea of the either the time or the environment or the whatever signal or the cue is. And we talked about habit loops before, the cue for the habit. So really just take a moment, pause this if you need to, so that you've really got a clear idea and you can get to that sense, like when we tap, you get in the thought so that you can feel it, and then you can notice changes in your body. So now you're in the thought, you're going to tap on your left side. So however this looks to you, whichever device you're watching, this is my left hand. So make sure you use your left hand first. And you're going to just cup your hand and make about 5 taps as you go around your head. And we're going to do it 3 or 4 times. Then we're going to switch to the right with the right statement. And we're going to go back and forth 3 times. And this is something that you can repeat regularly. If it's a really stubborn habit or craving, then maybe you can do 5 or even 6 times going backwards and forwards till you feel that shift. And then repeat it as often as you need to. So rub your hands together, just get a sense of your electromagnetic energy, so that you know that when you're tapping energy into your body. So we're going to say our negative, what we don't want. I no longer crave sugary foods. 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 And then we switch to our right side, visualizing that same situation. I am in control. I am in control. You might want to add, I am in control, and walk away. I am in control 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 and walk away. And make sure you're running the movie at the same time. I no longer crave sweet foods. 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 I am in control and I walk away. I am in control and I say no. I am in control and I say no. I am in control and I walk away. I am in control and I just say no. I am in control and I just say no. Once more each side. I no longer crave sweet foods. I no longer crave sweet and sugary foods. I no longer crave sweet foods. I no longer crave sweet or sugary 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 foods. I am in control. I walk away and say no. I am in control. I walk away and say no. I am in control. I walk away and say no. I am in control. I walk away and say no. I am in control. I walk away and say no. I am in control. I walk away and say no. Now put your hands on your heart and we're going to take that intention deep into your heart. And I want you to watch this movie. Imagine you really have collapsed that craving. How do you look? So run a little movie of you just saying no and walking away, even if everyone around you is going, go on, go on, go on, go on, go on. Just imagine, just completely shielded. It's like bounces off, has no appeal. It's not even hard to just say no. It feels good. And take that feeling of knowing you've made a great decision. And take that feeling and spin that deep in your body and feel better and better. And imagine how much of a relief it is to not have to stress about it. The craving's gone. Just imagine how good that feels. And take that feeling deep, deep, deep into your heart, into your psyche, into your soul, and own it. Really own it. And you can watch this video back along with last week's and use it as often as you want to, because you really can change your mind.